I, 33F, never thought I would be writing this kind of post, but I need advice about my fiancé John, 40M. We met 6 years ago at a tech conference in San Francisco where we were both speakers. I was presenting about UX design, and he was talking about software architecture. He seemed different from other tech guys I had met, mature, established in his career, and seemingly had his life together. After my presentation, he approached me with thoughtful questions about my work, and we ended up talking for hours. The connection was instant, and within a few months, we were seriously dating. John had everything I was looking for in a partner. He was successful, kind, funny, and treated me with respect. He had his own house, a great job as a senior software engineer, and shared my dreams of eventually having a family. The only red flag, which I initially dismissed, was his social drinking. In the beginning, his drinking didn't seem problematic. He would have a few beers with colleagues after work or during weekend gatherings with friends. But over time, I noticed it getting worse. He started coming home later and later, sometimes completely drunk. The morning after these episodes, he would be full of remorse, promising it wouldn't happen again. About 1.5 years ago, things came to a head when he missed my father's retirement party because he was too hungover from drinking the night before. We had a serious discussion about boundaries. I made it clear that I couldn't accept this behavior anymore. The constant worry about his safety, the embarrassment in front of family and friends, and the emotional drain of dealing with his drunken state, it was all too much. I explained that I wanted kids eventually, but only with someone who could be a responsible parent. He seemed to really understand and promised to change. Things improved after that conversation. He started coming home at reasonable hours and limited his drinking at social events. When he got a job offer from a major tech company in Germany 2 years ago, it seemed like perfect timing for a fresh start. I was hesitant about moving away from my family and friends, but the opportunity was too good to pass up. I managed to find a job as a UX designer at a small startup in Berlin, though the pay isn't great. The first year in Germany was amazing. We made new friends, explored Europe together, and last Christmas, he proposed during a trip to the Alps. I said yes without hesitation. Everything seemed perfect until 2 weeks ago. It was a Friday night, and John went out with colleagues to celebrate a successful project launch. He promised to be home by midnight. At 6 a.m., he stumbled through the door, barely able to stand. We had a huge fight about it, during which he passed out on the couch. Something about his behavior felt off, different from his usual drunk self. While he was unconscious, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked his phone. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were messages between him and his best friend Mike about what happened at the club. A girl had been sitting on John's lap, and they were kissing. John was messaging Mike in a panic, asking if anything else had happened because he couldn't remember parts of the night. Mike assured him they hadn't disappeared anywhere with the girl and nothing happened beyond the kissing and lap sitting. Today, I decided to give him a chance to come clean. We had a long conversation about relationships, trust, and what we consider cheating. I asked him multiple times if there was anything he needed to tell me about that night. Each time, he looked me straight in the eyes and denied everything. He even said, "I would never do anything to hurt you." His ability to lie so convincingly scared me more than the actual cheating. This morning, Mike's girlfriend Anna asked to meet for coffee. We'd become close friends since moving to Germany, and I could tell something was bothering her. She confessed that this wasn't the first time John had behaved inappropriately while drunk. There had been incidents at company parties, inappropriate dancing with female colleagues, disappearing for hours with no explanation, and even a complaint from an intern that John had made her uncomfortable with his advances. Mike had always covered for him, and Anna had been sworn to secrecy. The wedding is supposed to be next month. Everything is paid for, the venue in the German countryside, catering, flowers, my dress that my parents spent a fortune on. Both our families have booked international flights. My mom calls every day to discuss wedding details, and I have to pretend everything is fine while feeling like my world is falling apart. My situation feels impossible. My salary barely covers rent and basic expenses in Berlin. Moving back to the US would mean giving up the life we've built here and starting over completely. My work visa is tied to John's residency status, so I'm not even sure I could legally stay in Germany without him. Part of me still loves him and wants to believe this was a one-time drunk mistake. The rational part knows that someone who can lie so easily to my face probably isn't going to change. The hardest part is feeling so isolated. Most of our friends here are John's colleagues or people we met through him. I don't want to burden my family with this until I figure out what to do. I keep thinking about our future plans, the house we were going to buy next year, the kids we talked about having. Was it all just a lie? Should I confront him with what I know? Should I call off the wedding and deal with the fallout? If I stay, will I ever be able to trust him again? I'm lost and need advice. For those wondering why I went through his phone, I know it was wrong, but something about his behavior that night felt different. This wasn't his usual drunk self. He was acting guilty and defensive in a way I'd never seen before. I'm not proud of invading his privacy, but I'm glad I did. I just don't know what to do with this information now. How do I handle this? Should I tell him I know everything? Should I wait until after we deal with the visa situation? Am I overreacting to what could have been a drunk mistake? Please help me figure out what to do. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments gave me the strength to handle what turned into one of the worst weeks of my life. I know many of you wanted an update, so here's what happened. The morning after I made my post, I woke up feeling sick to my stomach but determined to confront John. I had taken screenshots of his messages with Mike and saved them to my phone. I waited until after dinner when we were both home. I started the conversation by asking him again if he had anything to tell me about that night at the club. Once again, he denied everything and started getting irritated about me bringing it up. That's when I took out my phone and showed him the screenshots. His reaction shocked me. Instead of showing remorse or trying to apologize, he exploded in anger about me going through his phone. He called it a violation of his privacy and tried to turn the whole situation around on me. According to him, I was the one who had broken his trust. He tried to minimize what happened, saying he was drunk and couldn't even remember it properly, so it shouldn't count as cheating. When I brought up what Anna had told me about his previous incidents, his whole demeanor changed. He became eerily calm and said Anna was lying to cause problems in our relationship because she was jealous of our success. That's when he did something I never expected. He called Mike right there in front of me, putting him on speakerphone. The conversation that followed revealed more than John probably intended. While trying to confront Mike about telling Anna about the club incident, Mike accidentally let slip about other occasions he had covered for John. There was a business dinner last year where John disappeared with a colleague for 2 hours. A company retreat where he was seen getting too close to a new hire. Multiple nights when Mike had lied to me about John's whereabouts when I called looking for him. I sat there listening to them argue, feeling like I was watching my whole relationship unravel. 6 years of memories were being rewritten in my head. Every late night at work, every business trip, every time he was unreachable, I was questioning everything. I called my parents that night and told them everything. My mom started crying, not because of the wedding being called off, but because she blamed herself for not seeing through John's behavior earlier. My dad, who has always been calm and collected, was furious. He immediately booked a flight to Germany, saying he wasn't going to let me handle this alone in a foreign country. John spent the next few days trying everything to convince me we could work through this. He promised to stop drinking completely. He offered to start couples counseling. He even suggested signing a prenup that would give me financial security if anything like this ever happened again. He kept saying it was just the alcohol making him act this way, that sober John would never cheat on me. But then something happened that showed me exactly who John really was. Anna called me crying last Friday. She had been called into her boss's office and fired. Apparently, someone had made a formal complaint about her unprofessional behavior at intercompany events. She was accused of spreading malicious rumors that were damaging business relationships. It didn't take long to figure out who was behind it. John had called in a favor with her company's CEO, whom he knew from various tech conferences. He tried to destroy someone's career because she told me the truth about him. When I confronted him about it, he didn't even deny it. He said Anna shouldn't have interfered in our relationship and needed to learn a lesson. I packed a bag that night and went to stay with Anna and Mike. Yes, I know it's strange staying with them given Mike's role in all this, but I had nowhere else to go. Mike has been trying to make amends by helping me navigate the visa situation. He admitted he should have told me years ago about John's behavior and feels terrible about enabling him for so long. I've spent the last week canceling wedding arrangements. Most vendors have been understanding after I explained the situation, though we'll lose some deposits. My dad arrived 3 days ago and has been helping me deal with the practical aspects of untangling my life from John's. John's mother, who lives in Berlin, showed up at my office yesterday. She spent an hour trying to convince me that I was overreacting. According to her, all men make mistakes and I'm throwing away a good future over some silly drunken incidents. She talked about how hard it is to find a successful man at my age and suggested I was being too picky. I had always liked her before, but seeing her defend her son's behavior made me realize the apple didn't fall far from the tree. The hardest part has been dealing with our friend group here. Many of them knew about John's behavior but never said anything. Some are now taking his side, saying I'm overreacting and should give him another chance because he was drunk and people make mistakes. Others have completely cut contact with both of us to avoid taking sides. A few have reached out privately to say they support my decision but don't want to be publicly involved. I've lost not just my fiancé but also my entire social circle in a foreign country. John keeps trying to contact me through mutual friends, saying he'll do anything to fix this. He's sent flowers to my office, written long emails about how much he loves me, and even tried to get our pastor to mediate. I'm staying firm in my decision to end things, but it's not easy. Every time I think about having to start over at 33, it feels overwhelming. But then I remember those messages, think about Anna losing her job, and realize I'm making the right choice. I'd rather be alone than with someone who can lie to my face and hurt people who tell the truth about him. My dad is helping me look for a new apartment, and I have a meeting with an immigration lawyer next week to discuss my visa options. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm just trying to get through each day and remind myself that I deserve better than this. Update 2: I didn't think I would need to update again, but the situation has taken an unexpected turn that made me feel like I needed to share. After my last update, things had started to look up. I found a job at a larger tech company with better pay, which helped me secure my own visa. My German language skills improved enough to handle daily life, and I even made some new friends through a local expat group. I maintained minimal contact with John, only discussing practical matters through email about returning each other's belongings. Last week, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. The woman introduced herself as Claire, 35F, and what she told me turned my world upside down again. She and John had been seeing each other for the past 2 years after meeting at a tech conference in Munich. John had told her he was single and living in Berlin for work. They maintained a long-distance relationship, with John visiting her in Munich several weekends a month, always under the pretense of work trips. Claire discovered the truth when she was browsing Instagram and saw our engagement announcement on a mutual friends page. She said she felt physically sick seeing the photos of us together, realizing that all the weekends and holidays John spent with her, he was cheating on me. She had even met his mother several times, who apparently knew about their relationship but never mentioned me. Claire sent me everything: photos of their trips together, hotel receipts, text messages, even pictures from last Christmas when John told me he was at a company retreat but was actually with her in Switzerland. The level of deception was staggering. He had been living a complete double life, maintaining 2 serious relationships in 2 different cities. But the most shocking part of Claire's revelation? She's 3 months pregnant. She found out shortly after discovering John's deception and had been trying to figure out how to handle the situation. When she told John about the pregnancy, his reaction was cold and calculating. He tried to convince her to move to Canada, where his company has an office, offering to pay for everything if she would just keep quiet about the baby. Claire recorded their conversations where John tried to manipulate her into hiding the pregnancy. He told her that her life would be ruined if people found out she had been the other woman, that no one would believe she didn't know about me. He even suggested that the baby might not be his, despite Claire assuring him she hadn't been with anyone else. I was processing all this information when Claire mentioned something that made everything click. She said John rarely drank around her, maybe 1 or 2 beers at most. He always said he didn't like losing control. This was the same man who claimed his infidelity with the girl at the club happened because of his drinking problem. It was all an act. I decided to confront John one last time. I met him at a cafe and played Claire's recordings. For the first time, he broke down completely. He admitted everything: the 2-year relationship with Claire, the other incidents that Mike had covered up, all of it. He said he never intended to marry Claire, that I was the one he really loved, and that she was just a mistake he couldn't seem to end. When I asked about his drinking, he tried to maintain the story about having a problem, but I could see through it now. The drinking had been a convenient excuse, a way to justify his behavior while garnering sympathy. He would act drunk and apologetic when caught in lies, but maintain perfect sobriety when managing his double life. The truth about the club incident came out too. He hadn't been too drunk to remember what happened. He knew exactly what he was doing but played the blackout card when he realized someone might tell me. Mike hadn't just been covering for him. He had been actively helping John maintain his lies for years. I also discovered why John was so desperate to keep Claire quiet. His company has strict morality clauses in their contracts, and a scandal involving pregnant mistresses and corporate travel fraud. He had been billing his trips to Munich as business expenses, could cost him his job and reputation in the industry. Claire and I have been in contact, supporting each other through this nightmare. She's decided to keep the baby and is preparing to be a single mother. She's also gathered all the evidence of John's travel fraud and is considering reporting it to his company's ethics board. This whole situation feels surreal. The man I thought I knew never existed. Every memory is tainted, every moment suspect. But in a strange way, I'm grateful to Claire for having the courage to tell me the truth. She could have stayed quiet and let me marry him without knowing any of this. I feel like I've aged years in the past few months, but at least now I know the full truth. John isn't just a cheater with a drinking problem, he's a calculated manipulator who used alcohol as a cover for his deliberate deceptions. I don't know what's going to happen with him and Claire's baby, but I know it's not my problem anymore. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my world imploded, and I felt I should share one final update. The situation with John, Claire, and the baby has become impossible to hide, affecting everyone involved in ways I never expected. Claire stood her ground and refused to leave Munich or hide her pregnancy. She posted about her situation on LinkedIn, not naming John directly but detailing how a senior tech executive had manipulated her and tried to hide their relationship. The post went viral in the European tech community. Given how interconnected the Berlin-Munich tech scene is, it didn't take long for people to figure out who she was talking about. John's life fell apart spectacularly after that. The company's internal investigation revealed he had been falsifying expense reports for 2 years, charging his trips to Munich as business travel. He had even created fake meeting agendas and client presentations to support his lies. They also discovered he had used company apartments in Munich for his meetups with Claire, which violated multiple corporate policies. Last month, John was fired for gross misconduct. The company's official statement cited expense fraud and misuse of corporate resources, but everyone knew the real story. His reputation in the tech community is ruined. Several conference organizers have quietly removed him from their upcoming speaker lists. His drinking, which I now know was more of an act than a real problem, actually became a genuine issue after everything came out. He showed up drunk to his final disciplinary hearing, making accusations about company executives and threatening to sue for wrongful termination. His mother had to come pick him up from the office. Claire reached out to me again recently. She's due next month and has been handling this situation with remarkable strength. She sold her story to a German tech magazine, not for revenge but to warn other women about workplace predators who use their position and influence to manipulate people. The money from the article is helping her prepare for the baby's arrival. The most shocking part? John hasn't spoken to Claire in months and has made it clear through his lawyer that he wants nothing to do with the baby. He's trying to challenge paternity and avoid child support obligations. His mother, who was so keen on defending him during our breakup, now refuses to acknowledge she's about to be a grandmother. I've moved to Hamburg for a fresh start with a great job opportunity at a company known for its ethical workplace culture. The distance from Berlin has helped me heal and rebuild my life. Anna moved here too after her wrongful termination lawsuit against her former company was settled. She used the settlement money to start her own consulting business, and I'm helping her with the UX design work. Mike finally broke up with Anna after realizing he couldn't fix what he had done. The guilt of enabling John's behavior for years and watching Anna lose her job over it was too much for him. Last I heard, he's moved back to the US. John is living with his mother in Berlin now, trying to rebuild his career. Some mutual friends say he's attending AA meetings and working with a career coach to rebrand himself. Others say he's just trying to rehabilitate his image to get another high-paying tech job. Either way, it's not my concern anymore. I recently started dating again, and my experience with John has made me much more aware of red flags and manipulative behavior. I'm more cautious but not bitter. If anything, this whole ordeal taught me to trust my instincts and value honesty above all else in relationships. To everyone who supported me through this journey, thank you. Your advice helped me avoid making the biggest mistake of my life. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had gone through with the wedding, living in ignorance while he maintained his double life. The pain of discovering the truth was intense, but it's nothing compared to the lifetime of lies I would have endured as his wife. I won't be updating again unless something major happens. I'm focused on my new life and finally feeling like myself again. Claire and I keep in touch, and I might even meet the baby when it arrives. It's strange how life works out. The woman who was unknowingly my fiancé's mistress has become something of a friend, while the man I thought I would spend my life with is now a stranger.